Pathmonk is an intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences, such as case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add Pathmonk to your website in seconds. Let the artificial intelligence do all the work. Get access to 50% more qualified leads so you can do marketing and sales as usual. Check us out on pathmonk.com. On today's episode of Pathmonk Presents, I've got a very special guest with me joining today. Please welcome Jordan Bell, who is the ad agency and CEO owner of Agency Bell. So Jordan is your innovator in digital marketing, technology, automation, machine learning, entrepreneur, strategist, speaker, everything you could think about. Now, for all of you who don't know, Agency Bell is the premier AI-driven digital advertising agency for law firms. Jordan, thank you so much for joining us today. It's an honor to have you on our show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So for all listeners out there, tell us, what does Agency Bell do overall? Who are your clients? How do your clients typically find you? And where do your clients mainly come from? Are you mainly industry agnostic, or do you tend to focus on other sectors outside of the law, outside of the law overall?
Yeah, thanks. I'll first say that legal industry, law firms, was a great delve for us when COVID started. And so what we do is love the topic of AI, right? So what we do is we focus on businesses that generate leads and need to close those leads using a sales team. So our advertising programs are mostly on Google, Facebook, Bing. We'll be spreading out to areas like TikTok as well. And our focus is on helping those advertising companies train their systems, their advertising systems, to learn off of CRM pipeline events like sales. So in most cases with advertising, the programs like Google and Facebook are learning off of signals like traffic or leads, but very often those aren't the most important signals for closing sales, where there's an offline contract being signed. So someone picks up the phone at a company, calls their lead, and they're finalizing a sale over the phone. They're sending them a contract. That lead signs the contract, but most of that event isn't tracked via web events, pixels, like the Facebook pixel, Google pixel, etc. Most of those events are happening in what we call an offline environment. Even if they're doing an e-sign agreement, that web session has been broken. And so we as advertisers don't often train the ad systems for conversion tracking that way. So, but I felt that e-commerce had something that was already covering this problem, like the web pixel at the end of a thank you page on an e-commerce site, right? Buy some products. That entire experience is tracked, and ad campaigns are optimizing it. But that's e-commerce. The lead generation doesn't have that so well. So there is a thing called offline conversion tracking, where if you re-upload your customers, your potential clients' tags, or their IDs, you can sort of get the system to say, oh, there's this person that we've identified in the past. Oh, and now they're a new customer. So yes, we'll train the ad systems off that. So what we do is we completely automate that loop, so that we've taken the effect of what an e-commerce site is, where you're training your ads off of the entire flow all the way down to the final transaction event. We're bringing that all the way back to lead generation. So instead of training the ad systems off of leads and clicks, we're training the ad algorithms off of actual signed clients for businesses that are processing leads and calling on with their sales teams. It's an incredibly difficult journey to get perfect, to get like 100% of the people who filled out a lead form or called you or used an online chat, to get 100% of them to track all the way back so that your conversion tracking works off of that event. But when it happens, there's a special effect that starts happening. The signing rate of the leads just magically starts to improve. So it could be 2 times, 3 times, 5 times higher. So if in an industry about 5% of leads are signing, you might start seeing that those leads sign at maybe about 15%, 20%. And that completely changes the game for companies that service professionals, SaaS companies, anyone that's basically closing their leads. It's a game changer. They can maximize the number of leads they sign, and for their budget, and their acquisition cost goes down. So it was a really difficult journey to kind of build this entire automated system like this, but now it's pretty turnkey for us, and it's exciting. And it's relatively blue ocean because almost no agencies or marketing companies know how to perfect this system.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially too, you guys are the only agency in Los Angeles that really does this overall. And I think it's incredible with what you guys are doing in-house, and it's showing overall. So that's awesome.
Yeah. We actually started and we eventually realized that legal was the hardest industry to do this in, because there's could cost anywhere up to $200 a click for some of the keywords, $200-$300. So our thought was that if we could do this in the legal industry, we could do it anywhere. And so COVID was a great time to niche down and really focus on one industry, and legal industry really needed the help. They're usually behind in technology and whatnot, and solutions, and so CRMs, et cetera. So now we're gonna start focusing, going back to multiple industries, and it'll be really any industry that allows for that where there's leads and they're signing them with sales teams.
Yeah, that's awesome. So as for how your clients mainly find you, what would you say is your top client acquisition channel? Are we talking mainly digital marketing, inbound, SEO shots, content, or is it a mix of a lot of things currently?
Yeah, thanks. It's going to eventually be a lot of demand generation. So everything from hosting or being a part of podcasts, doing sponsored content. Most of our clients are going to end up, for a while, are going to end up being mid to large size buyers who have an internal operations CRM lead, and a good intake program and some form of an advertising budget or marketing budget that they're working with advertising. So those are because of those reasons, it's sometimes a little easier to develop the long sale. We're not like the commoditized agency, get your ads super cheap, your lead super cheap, because we're going for quality, and we want them to understand that quality of a lead is really important for a machine learning journey. But on the other side of it is we have done some advertising in the past. I've grown the business mostly through referrals, through just general growth of existing accounts. So we'll start with a company and maybe they have a $5,000 budget. We've grown that to $500,000 budget within a couple of years. And it's really about picking long-term partnerships, finding the right players, the right long-term partners who want to invest the time and really develop their automations, their internal operations. We work with them really closely on how to manage their data through their CRM. So we really try to invest that time. And so that's actually, we've been blessed that we haven't really had too much difficulty getting new sales, because it's, I still think that this industry is a people business, right? I think it should always be a people business. And we work with great people, and we grow with them and they refer us out. So we will eventually, as we're getting into more of our software product and our education product, we'll eventually start expanding using a little bit more of a sales approach. But for right now, we're blessed that sales are not difficult to come by.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how you summed it up. It's all about people at the end of the day, which is really true overall. So now we're going to switch gears and we're going to talk about you as a leader. So with being the CEO and, the founder, how does an average day look like for you?
Oh gosh, it's a little bit different actually. So I discovered during COVID two things. One, I have ADHD, and two, I'm autistic. And so that last one was actually within the last 6 months. So while the whole world was shutting down, I was taking my business from being in an office in Los Angeles to just being fully remote. A lot of things changed about the working world, and there's a great topic on the challenge of remote businesses and running a complex, small custom shop in the middle of COVID and going remote. But I also discovered that my brain works differently and than almost everyone that I interact with. And that was a huge revelation. An autistic person is basically autistic their whole life. And so reconciling that in the middle of figuring out what kind of leader I was going to be in my next, my next generation of leadership. That was really interesting. It was difficult. It was a bit of a mind screw for a bit, but I'm learning a lot about how I want to move forward as a leader and how I show up to the world, how I show up to my team, how I show up to my clients. I'm still the same person. I just now understand myself a little better, and that has made things a lot easier for me to articulate myself, to understand what others may, how I might be communicating, and how what I'm hearing and how I'm perceiving it. And that was such an interesting topic for me anyway.
Yeah, it is. But I applaud you, and I have a lot of admiration for you, where you saw these roadblocks and you turned them into motivators for you. You saw like, okay, these are the things I have to tackle, but I know I'm going to get through it, and I'm going to build a plan around it. So I think it's incredible where, as you were explaining, you saw what you needed to work through, and you did for your advantage, and how you said, now you know how you work better and how to show up as a better, not only leader, but better teammate and better colleague. So kudos to you. That's incredible. It's an amazing part of your story as well.
Thank you. It's interesting because it's part of a discovery of, oh my goodness, the rest of the world doesn't process things the way that I do. And at first there's a lot of self-judgment that can come with that, right? I mean, there's a reason that autistic community, Asperger's, all that, there's a high unemployment rate. There is actually a really high suicide rate among young people with autism. It's like 9 times the average in the United States, I think, 9 times the average level. And a big part of that is it can be very isolating, not feeling like how you're trying to speak, that you're understood the way that you want to be understood. And there's a lot of stereotypes and stigmas that are associated with it. And I understand, I do a lot of research into this stuff, and I understand the reasons for that. There's a great topic called the double empathy problem that exists in autism. Neurodiverse, there is neurotypical. Neurodiverse has a larger umbrella of great topics and superpowers, as I like to call them. And it really does. I have significant superpowers in one area and significant weaknesses in others that are a little different than most people that I work with. And so learning to lean on my strengths and not allow myself to overuse my strengths or lean on my weaknesses is going to be a continuous journey for a while. And so I have to learn every day. I'm really open with my team about this. And it's been a really nice conversation about things like social behavior, mental health, self-care. And it kind of led to some great areas like now I had a personal coach that I work with, and a professional coach. And so I've offered that service to my team as well, including our virtual professionals, because understanding ourselves and really understanding how, what we need, how we show up, and how we impact others became a really important topic. And so I think that's bringing us closer as a team. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for my team, how they've received me, and how we continue to just keep moving forward, because we're all humans and animals at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's great overall that you've got a great team in-house, and you're putting your best foot forward every day. So overall, that's really awesome. Yeah. Now, we're at the end of our interview today, and I want to thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, but I also want to give you the last word. If anyone were to forget about everything we've talked about in your interview, what is the one thing you want them to remember about Agency Bell overall?
Yeah. We are challenging the notion of how lead generation advertising needs to be run. And we're bringing AI to the equation in a way that it was meant to be done.
Amazing. No, definitely. You guys are huge key players with dominating that field. So, Jordan, thank you so much again. It was an honor.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And for all of our listeners out there, check us out next week on Pathmonk Presents.